Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna and welcome everybody. It's Sunday, July 19th. Welcome to the reading of the Delhi edition of the Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, the founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Hare Krishna movement or the Krishna Consciousness movement. Today, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu is traveling in Southern California. He is joining us right now, but I would like to ask him, since Ishan Prabhu is going to be the speaker today, is it okay if I give the introduction for him now?
Yeah, that's quite fine, please. I can only be here for about, 35, 40 minutes, but I'm happy. Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I'm excited to give an introduction for our other senior disciple, Ishan Das Prabhu. He received initiation from Srila Prabhupada in 1968 in Montreal, Canada. From talking to him, I also found out that he met the devotees when he was managing a boarding house at the university. And Prabhu, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm kind of paraphrasing what we talked about the other day. But the devotee Hansadutta Das ended up renting one of the rooms at the boarding house, and Hansadutta Prabhu told him about Krishna consciousness, and he started practicing a little bit. He was already practicing yoga and into music. And then when he found out about Srila Prabhupada, he had to meet him. And he has told me that he traveled to New York and met him, and that completely changed his life. And he had finally met the person who he was looking for, the answers he was looking for. And so he decided to join Krishna Consciousness. He was into music, and Srila Prabhupada, understanding this, instructed him to join the devotees in England who were also musically inclined and were making recordings of the Hare Krishna mantra with George Harrison of the Beatles. And although the devotees had purchased a building at 7 Berry Place near the British Museum, the building was in a residential area and not zoned for use as a temple. But John Lennon of the Beatles invited the devotees to move to his rural property outside of London. And Ishan Das convinced John Lennon to invite Srila Prabhupada, who was then in Germany, and he invited him to come to his estate. I don't remember the name, but it might have been Ascot, I think. I'm not sure. Okay. When Srila Prabhupada came to John Lennon's rural estate, Ishan was engaged in arranging for Srila Prabhupada's living quarters. And he also built the Vyasasana at the indoor tennis court where the devotees were using that as a temple room. And he, besides making arrangements for his living quarters, he also did some construction for turning the indoor tennis court into a temple room. And he also would accompany Srila Prabhupada every morning for his morning walk. And he was also fortunate enough to be chosen by Srila Prabhupada to give him his daily massage. After about a month at John Lennon's estate, the devotees moved into the Buried Place Temple in London, and there was a lot of construction going on. And Srila Prabhupada, and because of the construction, Srila Prabhupada was staying in a nearby place, and Ishan would travel in the morning by the London subway to go and give Prabhupada his massage. In 1972, he was living in the Toronto Temple in Canada, and Srila Prabhupada asked devotees to send men to Mayapur to learn to make mridangas, and Ishan Prabhu went there. And he was living there from 1973 to 1975, learning the traditional way of making mridangas. And he was an apprentice. He learned to make the clay shells under the master makers. And then when he became proficient enough, he took one of the drums to Vrindavan to show Srila Prabhupada. And at that time, he was so comfortable in India that he asked Srila Prabhupada if he could just stay in India for the rest of his life. But Srila Prabhupada instructed him to go back to the West and use Western technology to make an unbreakable mridanga drum. Because Srila Prabhupada had noticed that the devotees were kind of rough and the mridangas would break, so he wanted him to make a fiberglass unbreakable mridanga. So he went to America. He stayed at the New Orleans temple, and where he was a cook, and he did some research, and finally ended up having a factory for making mridangas in Los Angeles. And when he wrote to Srila Prabhupada in 1976 about the fiberglass mridangas, and they were shipped to different parts of the world, and Srila Prabhupada was very pleased. And also at different times, Ishan Prabhu was the temple president in Austin, Texas, and also in Regina, Saskatchewan. So I'm sorry if I left anything out, but I'd like to ask Ishan Prabhu to please speak a little bit before we do the readings.
Sound, let there be sound. It says in the scripture, in the Christian scripture, let there be light. As Srila Prabhupada said, let there be sound, sound vibration. So I was making some notes this morning and just thinking about things that I've been contemplating. And the first thing that came to mind, and please just give a little cough or something to give me an idea, Rama Raghavat Prabhu, when we're coming close to the appropriate amount of time. Krishna Consciousness. Krishna Consciousness is a celebration. What are we celebrating in Krishna Consciousness? We're celebrating the happiness of Radha and Krishna. This is actually written in the introduction to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Srila Prabhupada says, what is this meaning, Hare Krishna, Radha Krishna? He says, Radha Krishna is the love that is shared between Radha and Krishna. So Krishna consciousness, we're adopting this consciousness that we're celebrating the love of Radha and Krishna. Krishna consciousness is an ongoing celebration. And this attitude is not, Srila Prabhupada said, it's not this consciousness, it's not an artificial imposition on the mind, quote unquote, but this is the natural, eternal, inherent consciousness of the living entity. That's who we are as pure spirit soul. But how can one understand that that this is our natural consciousness? Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita 4:34, purport, that blind following just doing everything on the prescribed checklist of what we're supposed to do as devotees. There's a prescribed list of activities, and without having realization. This is called blind following. It's having faith that one day I will receive some kind of blessing. So I'm just doing. But Srila Prabhupada writes, and you can read that in the purple, that blind following is condemned. What does this mean? This means that we should have realization. This is Krishna's Tadbidi Pranipatena Paraprashnena Sevaya Upadekshanti Te Jnanam Jnaninas Tattva Darshanaha. You find that realized soul who has the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Krishna's instruction. And you approach him with a very submissive heart. So why? So that you can imbibe the taste of his devotion. This is the inquiry. Inquire from him submissively. Inquire from him not about nonsense questions. Srila Prabhupada writes, they're also condemned. What is the real question? What is this? What is this feeling of love of Krishna? Krishna says you approach one spiritual master who has this love of Krishna, who has the darshan of Krishna, 724 hours a day. And you ask from him, and you imbibe the taste of his devotion, and says, render the service for his pleasure. Just like Ramananda Roy, Svarūpa Dāmodara. Lord, they're considering themselves as servants of Lord Chaitanya. But what they're doing, the poetry of Chandidas, the poetry of Jayadev Gosvāmī, they're chanting and they're engaging in kirtan for the pleasure of Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, when we are engaging in our japa and our kirtan, we have it in mind. We're with Srila Prabhupada and we're chanting to please him, chanting to enhance his Krishna consciousness. Is it possible? But this is the process, that the junior pleases the senior, that the student pleases the master by receiving the love that the master has for Krishna and chanting with the same feeling for the pleasure of the spiritual master. And when he's pleased, he showers his blessings. He shares more of himself with us. So therefore it says, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 18, quote, the process is that the spiritual master, he chants the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the sound vibration of the spiritual master enters into the ear of the disciple. And if the disciple begins to chant with the same feeling, this becomes the worship of the holy name. And when Srila Prabhupada continues, chapter 18, and when the disciple begins to chant in this way, under the guidance of his spiritual master, following in the footsteps of the spiritual master. In the association engaging in Krishna consciousness. When the disciple begins to chant in this way, the holy name spreads his glories in the heart of such a disciple. This is how we learn how to love Krishna, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, what is the qualification of a real spiritual master? A real spiritual master is someone who has come from Krishna Loka and his heart is filled with love of Krishna. We're saying this every day in our Guru Puja. Prema Bhakti Hoite Avidya Vinashayate. That from him, just like light and warmth emanates from the sunshine, filling the whole universe, love of Krishna emanates from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada says that this light from the sun is there for everyone. It's not a question of who deserves it. It's not a question of earning it. Can we earn the light of the sun by having more points? Krishna consciousness is not a point collecting system. Whoever scores the most points gets the biggest reward. No, this is there. The sunshine is there for everyone. So Srila Prabhupada said in one talk that if the sun is shining, the whole daylight is there, and one is behind a closed shutter, we're still in the dark. I'm still in the dark. But he says, if I open the shutter, then I can... So then this is called submission, receptivity. And how long does it take? Srila Prabhupada says, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 72, first line in the purport, one can receive this Krishna consciousness or divine life at once, within a second. Open the shutter. Or, next line, one may not receive it in millions of births, quote unquote. What is the essential difference? It's only a matter of acceptance, Srila Prabhupada. It's only a matter of understanding and accepting the fact. That means we must have a living relationship with our spiritual master, who has this love of Krishna in his heart. Therefore, we want to have a relationship with a spiritual master, Tattva Darshanaha, who has the personal darshan of Krishna at every moment. Canto 10, Srimad Bhagavatam. Initiation means, Srila Prabhupada says, the cultivation, it's right there in the purport, of a heart-to-heart heart-to-heart, quote unquote, relationship with that spiritual master who always has Krishna in his heart. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Velochanena Srimad Bhakti Brahma Samhita. That he can see Krishna because he has this love of Krishna in his heart. And we say that the bona fide spiritual master is the transparent via media. These glasses They are via media, transparent. If I look through them with these eyes, it will bring things into focus. The spiritual master is that transcendental via media through which we can see Krishna. How do we see Krishna? Through Srila Prabhupada, by imbibing the taste of his devotion. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, oh, to have a spiritual master, not a fashionable thing that now I'm initiated, now I have neck beads, now I have dhotis. No, it's a living relationship. So Krishna consciousness is a celebration. We're celebrating the love of Radha and Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Is this enough time, Prabhu?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu. This is
this
good.
is good.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
If
If
you
you
could
could
mute your
microphone so we don't get an echo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ishan Prabhu. So I'd like to move on to the next part of the program, which is the reading that Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu sent me. As we're going to read about Sri Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī Tirobhava Tithi, or Disappearance Day, and Sri Śivānanda Sena. First, I'd like to ask Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu to give some comments about the nice pictures that he sent in the email. Let me post them up here. Oops, I think Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu had to leave. So I'll just read.
Everybody can hear me or something.
They're chanting for the pleasure of their spiritual master. That's how we should chant.
Thank you. This painting has a subtitle, Sri Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī trying to revive Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī was the personal secretary to Lord Chaitanya. And he kept many notes which were used later on to write about Lord Chaitanya. So I'll begin the reading, and Ishan Prabhu can interject anytime he feels. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than the combined form of Sri Radha and Krishna. He is the life of those devotees who strictly follow in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami are the two principal followers of Srila Svarūpa Damodar Goswami, who acted as the most confidential servitor of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Vishvambar, in his early life. A direct disciple of Srila Rupa Goswami was Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, stands as the direct disciple of Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. And that's from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, 1975 edition, Adi Lila, Chapter 1, of the Spiritual Masters. And after each paragraph or after each main theme, I'll pause for just a little bit so that you can make any comments. But also, while I'm reading the paragraphs, you can feel free to just interject anytime you like.
Svarūpa Damodar, we're informed in our literature, Ramananda Roy is Vishaka, and Svarūpa Damodar is Lalita. These are Srimati Radharani's closest associates. They're actually expansions, just like Balaram. Lord Balaram is expansion of Krishna himself. Vishaka and Lalita and Vishaka, they are expansions of Srimati Radharani. Lord Krishna has come as Lord Chaitanya with the mood of Radha and Krishna combined, Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, he's with Ramananda Roy and Svarūpa Dāmodara. He's with Vishaka and Lalita. And Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they're manjaris. They're servants of the servants of Krishna. Like that. These are the personalities. And we're talking about, reading about, with great respect. Hare Krishna. Please continue.
Okay, the next
The next reading
reading
is from
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Charitamrita,
Charitamrita,
Adi
Adi
Leela.
Leela.
Prabhu, if you could mute your
Mute your
microphone,
microphone,
we're
we're
getting
getting
the
the
echo.
echo.
Yeah.
Adi Leela, Chapter 4, The Confidential Reasons for Lord Chaitanya's Appearance. Sri Svarūpa Dāmodara Goswami was the principal figure among Lord Chaitanya's confidential devotees. The records of his diary have revealed these confidential purposes of the Lord. These revelations have been confirmed by the statements of Srila Rupa Goswami in his various prayers and poems. Lord Chaitanya has accepted the role of Radharani, and we should support that position, as Svarūpa Damodar did in the Gambhira, the room where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Puri. He always reminded Lord Chaitanya of Radha's feelings of separation, as they are described in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Lord Chaitanya appreciated his assistance. But the Gaura Nagaris, who place Lord Chaitanya in the position of enjoyer and themselves as his enjoyed, are not approved by Lord Chaitanya or by Lord Chaitanya's followers. Instead of being blessed, the foolish imitators are left completely apart. Their concoctions are against the principles of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The doctrine of transcendental enjoyment by Krishna cannot be mixed up with the doctrine of transcendental feeling of separation from Krishna in the role of Radharani. That's also from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, Chapter 4, The Confidential Reasons for Lord Chaitanya's Appearance, and the purport.
Therefore, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. After Lord Chaitanya left, departed, only 500 years ago, coming down, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he was in a very aristocratic position in India at that time. Under British rule, he was a magistrate at Jagannath Puri. And he was also, as the magistrate, he was in charge of the Jagannath temple, administrator. So he was writing only, 200 years after Lord Chaitanya's departure, he lists 13 deviant sects that are all claiming to be followers of Lord Chaitanya. One by one, he's writing again, this sect is doing this sect is doing that. So this, Srila Prabhupada explains that when the Acharya departs, this always happens in every tradition. Hindu, Christian, Muslim, Jew, it doesn't matter. When the Krishna's representative who comes to implement Paritranaya Sadhanam, to give the spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, by any other name, to the people when he departs. So these things go on. Therefore, we have to read Srila Prabhupada's books and hear his talks. Again, in order for our consciousness to be purified, not to be diverted, and here, become really Srila Prabhupada's disciple. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So I would like to read, since we're running a little bit out of time, we're running a little bit behind schedule, I'll go ahead and read a little bit about the next part of Sri Śivānanda Sena Tirobhavatiti, Disappearance Day. Srila Prabhupada glorifies Sri Śivānanda Sena. And this was sent to me by Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. Ishan Prabhu, if you could please make a comment on this picture, this painting. With your microphone.
Pilgrimage from Navadvip, because Lord Chaitanya relocated himself to Jagannath Puri in order to take the life of sannyas, not too far from Sachi Mata, his mother, by her request. Every year at the time of Ratha Yatra, the devotees would come on foot and barges, crossing rivers, crossing taxation points, borders. And Śivānanda Sena, he was a householder, very dear to Lord Chaitanya. But he was a very practical man, not a sannyasi. Sannyasi in the sense that everything he's doing is for Krishna, but in terms of the ashrams, he's a householder and he's making arrangements that pay where the devotee's going to sleep tonight. We'll rent this room, we'll rent this building, we'll arrange for food, for everything. Lord Nityananda, he was saying, I'm feeling hungry. And Śivānanda saying, he has not arranged for my meals yet. So when Śivānanda Sena came before him, Lord Chaitanya, he kicked Śivānanda Sena in the stomach, and Śivānanda Sena was joyful that now I've received the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. And that is in this picture. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shri Chaitanya Padambhoja Madhupebhyo Namo Namaha Kathanchid Ashrayad Yesham Shvapi Tad Gandhabhag Bhavet. Translation. Let me repeatedly offer my respectful obeisances unto the bee-like devotees who always taste the honey of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If even a doggish non-devotee somehow takes shelter of such devotees, he enjoys the aroma of the lotus flower. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The example of a dog is very significant in this connection. A dog naturally does not become a devotee at any time, but still it is sometimes found that a dog of a devotee gradually becomes a devotee also. We have actually seen that a dog has no respect even for the tulsi plant. Indeed, a dog is especially inclined to pass urine on the tulsi plant. Therefore, the dog is the number one non-devotee. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is so strong that even a dog-like non-devotee can gradually become a devotee by the association of a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Śivānanda Sena, a great householder devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, attracted a dog on the street while going to Jagannath Puri. The dog began to follow him and ultimately went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and was liberated. Similarly, cats and dogs in the household of Srivas Thakur were also liberated. Cats and dogs and other animals are not expected to become devotees, but in the association of a pure devotee, they are also delivered. That's from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 10, the trunk, branches, and sub-branches of the Chaitanya tree. Before you say anything else, Ishan Prabhu, I just wanted to add, I had read that when the devotees were traveling on pilgrimage, Śivānanda Sena became fond of this dog and he would throw him little morsels of prasad. And one time, when they were crossing the river, the ferry, all the devotees would get on the ferry and cross the river. And so Srila Śivānanda Sena paid for the dog's passage also on the ferry. And therefore, the dog was favored by a devotee of the Lord. And ultimately, when After a little while, when they were traveling, Śivānanda Sena did not see the dog anymore, and he became a little perplexed. Then when they caught up with Lord Chaitanya, the dog appeared there also. And Lord Chaitanya threw him a morsel of prasad, and the dog became liberated.
That Śivānanda, this was a stray dog. We're talking India, where the dog is understood for what he really is. I can tell you stories because I live in a rural location, but I'll spare you, about what is the real nature of the dog. Of course, that's not his spiritual nature. But Śivānanda Sena was making arrangements for the dog's food and supplying him regularly. And one time, Śivānanda Sena, he was busy with other affairs, making arrangements for the traveling party, and came back and said, "Has the dog been given his prasadam?" And apparently the person who was assigned with this duty had forgotten. Śivānanda Sena, great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, caretaker of all the devotees, such a wonderful spiritual person. He fasted because he was so upset that the dog had not been given prasadam, that Śivānanda Sena refused to eat. And then later that dog, as Rama Raghava Prabhu proceeded to Jagannath Puri, and Lord Chaitanya was eating pieces of mango and throwing the pulp to the dog and telling the dog, chant Hare Krishna. And the dog, Chaitanya Charitamrita says the dog was chanting Krishna, Krishna. So, this is very pertinent because I'm also like that same dog. I may not be as elevated as the dog yet, but I have a spiritual master, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. One more reading about Śivānanda Sena. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Śivānanda Sena to become his Sarakela or secretary in order to control his extravagant expenses. Vasudev Datta, the brother of Mukunda Datta, was also a resident of Chattagram. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is said, Janra sthane Krishna hai apane vikraya. Vasudev Datta was such a powerful devotee that Krishna was purchased by him. Vasudev Datta stayed at Srivas Pandit's house, and in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is described that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased with Vasudev Datta and so affectionate toward him that he used to say, I am only Vasudev Datta's man. My body is only meant to please Vasudev Datta, and he can sell me anywhere. Thrice he vowed that this was a fact and that no one should disbelieve these statements. All my dear devotees, he said, I tell you the truth. My body is especially meant for Vasudev Datta. Vasudev Datta initiated Sri Yaśodā-nandana Ācārya, the spiritual master of Raghunath Das, who later became Raghunath Das Gosvāmī. This will be found in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, 6th chapter, verse 16. Vasudev Datta spent money very liberally. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Śivānanda Sena to become his Sarakela or secretary in order to control his extravagant expenses. Vasudev Datta was so kind to the living entities that he wanted to take all their sinful reactions so that they might be delivered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's from Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 10, the trunk, branches, and sub-branches of the Chaitanya tree.
That is the heart feeling of a real devotee, of a pure devotee. It's like Srila Prabhupada has come from the spiritual realm to be with us. that all he has out of great, boundless compassion, only boundless compassion, just like Prahlad Maharaj, never unhappy. Only unhappiness is that he sees that we're all struggling here in this hard struggle for material existence, repeating in the cycle of birth and death again and again. And he wants to help us, bring us back home. Come on back home. He's come here to collect us. That is the nature of Krishna's pure devotee.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So now we can move on to the Srimad Bhagavatam reading. First, I'll play the Jai Radha Madhava. And I would like to inform all the devotees that Venkat Bhatta Prabhu has agreed to make the proper video with the proper translations. And he hasn't had a chance to work on it yet, but he promised that this week he'll get to it. So I'm very happy to hear that. And until that time, I will like to read the proper translation from the original songbook, which was published in 1974 of the Jai Radha Madhava song. This is on page 39 of that songbook. Sri Radha Madhava have their loving pastimes in the groves, Kunja of Vrindavan. Gopi Jana Vallabha means one who attracts and reciprocates loving pastimes with the gopis. Girivardhari is Krishna's name in the pastime of lifting Govardhan hill. Yaśodā-nandana is the son of Yaśoda. Nanda means son and is also the name of Krishna's father. So Krishna is also Nanda-nandan. Brajajana Ranjana means the attractive darling of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. He is always playing in the groves, vana, of the bank, tira, of the Yamuna river. Therefore, Krishna is also known as Yamuna Tira Vanachari. And I always like to read this wonderful pastime of Srila Prabhupada that's mentioned in the songbook. Srila Prabhupada is very fond of this song and sings it just before his lectures. In Allahabad and Gorakhpur, Srila Prabhupada fell into a trance after singing the first two lines. And after some time, he came back into external consciousness and said, quote, "Now just chant Hare Krishna," unquote. Srila Prabhupada says that this song is, quote, a picture of Vrindavan. Everything is there. Srimati Radharani, Vrindavan, Govardhan, Yashoda, and all the cowherd boys. Hare Krishna.
So, just one quick word. Sometimes there are other teachers of Krishna consciousness, and they say that your Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, he has given you the ABC, the very simple beginning of what Krishna consciousness is. But I'm going to give you the real thing, the more advanced. But as Rama Raghava Prabhu simply just said, when Srila Prabhupada was singing, chanting, Jaya Radha Madhava, he went into a trance of love of Krishna. He's always in that trance, but sometimes it's too strong, and Krishna allows us to see. If we meditate on Srila Prabhupada when he's singing, the whole of Vrindavan will become open to us. If we can learn to be submissive to Srila Prabhupada, from him this love of Krishna emanates. In that way, we'll begin to taste love of Krishna and our ignorance will be destroyed. This is the whole process of Krishna consciousness. What Lord Chaitanya is giving, what no other incarnation has ever offered before, this comes down to us through the disciplic succession, through Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yaśodā-nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha
Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajaka-charya Ashtottara Shatashri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai Om Svarūpa Paramahansa Parivrajaka-charya Ashtottara Sadasyaman Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Nāmācārya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Śivānanda Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Girivardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivedanta ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Shri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. From Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam deving saraswating vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1. To the personality of Godhead Narayan, 2. To the Nar Narayan Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3. To the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4. To Srila Vyasadeva, the author. From Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 2nd Chapter, Verse 4. Welcome everyone. For those of you who are joining on live stream or joined after the beginning, my name is Rama Raghava Das, and with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu's permission, who is traveling in Southern California, I am doing the reading portion, and a senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Ishan Das Prabhu, is doing the lecture portion. So we will continue with the actual reading. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, the founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And we are reading the first canto of the Delhi edition of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 8, text 22. Namaha Pankajanaභaya, Namaha Pankajamaline, Namaha Pankajangreya, Namaha Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. Namaha, all respectful obeisances. Pankajanaභaya, unto the Lord who has a specific depression in the center of the abdomen, resembling a lotus flower. Pankajamaline, one who is always decorated with garland of lotus flower. Pankajanetraya, one whose glance is as cooling as the lotus flower. Namaste, respectful obeisances unto you. Pankajangraye, O unto you whose palm of the feet is engraved with a lotus flower. The Lord is called therefore to possess lotus feet. Translation. My respectful obeisances are unto you, the Lord, who has a specific depression in the center of the abdomen, like the lotus flower, who is always decorated with garlands of lotus flower, whose glance is as cooling as that of the lotus flower, and whose palm of feet is engraved with marks of lotus flower. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Here are some of the specific symbolical marks in the spiritual body of the personality of Godhead, just distinguished from the body of all others. They are all special features of the body of the Lord. The Lord may appear before us as one of us, but He is always distinct by His specific bodily features. Srimati Kuntī claims herself as unfit for seeing the Lord on account of her becoming a woman. This is claimed by her because the woman as a class, the Shudras or the laborer class of men, and the Dvija Bandhus or the wretched descendants of the higher three classes, all are unfit by intelligence to understand transcendental subject matter concerning the spiritual name, fame, attributes, forms, etc. of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Such persons, although they are unfit to enter into spiritual affairs of the Lord, can see him as Archa Vigraha, who descends on the material world just to distribute favors to the fallen souls, including the above-mentioned woman, Shudras, and the Dvija Bandhus. Because such fallen souls cannot see anything beyond matter, the Lord condescends to enter into each and every one of the innumerable universes as the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who grows a lotus stem from the lotus-like depression in the center of his transcendental abdomen. And thus the first living being in the universe is born by the name Brahma. Therefore, the Lord is known as the Pankajanabi. So the Pankajanava, Lord accepts the Archa Vigraha, his transcendental form, in different elements, namely a form within the mind, a form made of wood, a form made of earth, a form made of metal, a form made of jewel, a form made of painting, a form drawn on sand, and all such forms of the Lord are always decorated with garlands of lotus flower, as soothing a soothing atmosphere in the temple of worship to attract the burning attention of the non-devotees, always engaged in material wranglings. The meditators worship a form within the mind. Therefore, the Lord is merciful even for the woman class, Shudra class, and Dvijabandhu class of men, provided they agree to visit the temple of worship in different forms made for them. Such temple visitors are not idolaters, as it is alleged by some men with poor fund of knowledge. All the great acharyas established such temples of worship in all places, just to favor the less intelligent class of members of the society, and one should not pose himself unnecessarily to have transcended the stage of temple worship, while one is actually in the grades of the Shudras and the woman class or less than them. One should begin to see the Lord from his lotus feet, gradually rising to thighs, belt, chest, and the face. One should not try to look on the face of the Lord without being accustomed in the matter of seeing the lotus feet of the Lord. Srimati Kuntī, on account of her becoming the aunt of the Lord, does not begin to see the Lord from the lotus feet, because the Lord may feel ashamed for this. And thus Kunti Devi, just to save a painful situation for the Lord, she began to see the Lord just above his lotus feet, i.e., from the belt of the Lord gradually rising to the face, and then round comes down to the lotus feet. In the round, everything there is in order. So at this point, I'd like to turn the class over to Ishan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. We're talking about the position of woman, touchy subject. My wife, she is in the astrological sign of Leo, August 11. She runs this household, top to bottom, organizes our trips to town, organizes my schedule, everything, because that's her nature. Now, but in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that less intelligent, but in other places, in other talks, in other writings, Srila Prabhupada says that these ladies, they are ahead of all of us. Ahead of all of us? Why? What is their qualification that they're ahead of? Because women, Mataji, our mother. All the ladies, Srila Prabhupada said, we should see them as mother. They have carried us in their womb. We should offer that much respect to all Mataji. So what is their qualification? It's the quality of the heart. The quality of the heart. Because what is Krishna consciousness? Krishna consciousness is all about the quality of the heart. If we can open our heart, as Krishna says, like that, Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. What is the quality? That now you can become my devotee. What is the quality of the heart? So when Krishna was in Vrindavan, of course Krishna is eternally in Vrindavan. It's just that we don't have the eyes. The purified, when we become purified, we go to Vrindavan, just like the Gosvāmīs, Rupa and Sanatana. Lord Chaitanya sent them there. What? To excavate, to act like, what is that word? That where they go and they dig up the remains of ancient places. Archaeologists, transcendental archaeologists that Lord Chaitanya sent Rupa Sanatan. What? Radhakund, all the other holy places, they identified. They could see Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and they said, here Krishna is doing this, here Krishna is lifting Govardhan Hill, here Krishna... In this way, so the ability to have that vision, one has to have this soft heart. So Srila Prabhupada says that the ladies, the Matajis, they're ahead of all of us. Because what is the propensity of the man with the big intelligence? He's thinking, oh, I'm so intelligent. I know Shastra. I know one or two memorized Bhagavad Gita. All verses. So what is that quality? So when Krishna was taking in the forest of Vrindavan with the cowherd boys on the bank of the Yamuna, they're saying, we're hungry. So Krishna is sending one of his associates, cowherd boy, to see, oh, there's a collection, a little village of Brahmins. They're doing sacrifices. Krishna says, you ask those Brahmins, you ask them for some prasadam for Krishna Balaram and his associates. But the Brahmins, when they approach the Brahmins with great respect, who are doing their ceremonies, their sacrifices, for what? For attaining the heavenly planets. They will not pay any attention to these boys. So they come back to Krishna, very disappointed. They would not. Krishna says, no, don't be disappointed. You go to the wives of these Brahmins. Big Brahmins. You go to the wives of these Brahmins and you tell them, please request on behalf of Krishna and Balaram. And immediately, what did they do? Immediately, the wives of the Brahmins, they collected foodstuffs, they collected preparations on beautiful trays, and they all ran towards the bank of the river where Krishna is with his friends. So in this way, so when the Brahmins, the very aristocratic Brahmins, big brain, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, After hundreds or thousands of lifetimes, those big Brahmins, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after Janma, birth, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, he says, those who realize, so one can be a Brahmin for puffed up with knowledge for many thousands of lifetimes, but if one has the heart of Mataji. So when the Brahmins understood that their wives had gone to serve directly Krishna and the cowherd boy, they said, and they realized that they were so much filled with vanity, with pride, because of their Brahminical status. They said, to hell with our knowledge, to hell with our sacrifice, to hell with our austerity. Look how much more advanced our wives are. So we have to become like that. And this is the quality that opens the door to Vrindavan, that opens the door to Krishna. So we have to understand like that. Otherwise we can study and do austerity and be Brahmin for lifetimes together. Bahunam Janmanam Jnanavan Mam Prapadyante. Van means to possess, as in Bhagavan means to possess Bhaga, austerity. Jnanavan means to possess real knowledge. Those who have real knowledge after millions of births, then they open their heart. But Mataji can do this now. So we have to become like that and try to understand the beauty and simplicity of the heart of Mataji so that we can see Krishna and the cowherd boys on the bank of Vrindavan. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very
Thank you very
much.
much.
So, few things I'd like to say before we get to the question and answer session. One point is that in the scriptures, sometimes there are general statements. And for instance, this statement about intelligence, they're certainly not meant to be used to exploit or subdue or abuse other living entities. They're actually meant to give us a chance to help the other living entities. And basically, the question of intelligence in the Vedic literatures is not the intelligence that we speak of in modern day science. The intelligence refers to spiritual intelligence, or being able to discern between matter and spirit. So those living entities who are more attached to the body are considered less intelligent. So, for instance, you'll see in this verse that we read, it's not just the women, it's also Shudras and also the merchants, which were men also. So it's not just the women, but also those people who are dealing with the material energy to the point that they have become conditioned. When somebody becomes unconditioned, which is available for anybody, regardless of what type of body they're in, then they have transcended. And Srila Prabhupada never dealt with people based on generalizations. He was kind, and he empowered all living entities that he came across, all human beings that he came across, to do service, whether they were in a man's body or a woman's body, etc. So that was one thing. The next thing I wanted to say was, I would like to encourage everybody to please feel free to ask questions, and I'm going to start going to the questions in just a minute. But everybody, please feel free to jump in. You can raise the raise hand icon, or you can send a text message. And those people who are watching on live stream on YouTube, I'm keeping up with them also. If they have questions, I can submit that. There's no question that's not important enough to bring up. So please, we encourage you to ask questions and make this a more interactive and more learning process for everybody. So right now, I'd like to get to a question by a devotee named Chaitanya. Chaitanya Prabhu, you can ask your question, but if you could briefly tell us where you are.
Hare Krishna Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
I'm in Denmark.
Hare Krishna, welcome. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you very much. My question is, before I found out Prabhupada's system of initiation, I was initiated by Hare Krishna Swami, and then later I was reinitiated by Radhanath Swami and also given second initiation. My question is, in short, is what should I do now if I want to get, like, what will be my next step since these initiations are not valid?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can see who you are. I can see that you're beautified, a Brahmin, by the refinement of your features, that you've been practicing Krishna consciousness for lifetimes. I can see that. Please accept my my humble obeisances. Prabhu, you just approach someone like Yaśodā-nandana. He will give you, after all, and at the same time, Srila Prabhupada says that the initiation ceremony, it's like it is a formality, it's a little touch, but the real initiation is when the heart becomes attached to Srila Prabhupada. So you already have that. So, but husband and wife, they're two people, they're feeling love for each other, caring for each other, want to serve each other. But they have a celebration, they have a formal ceremony to tell the world and to tell each other to make this gesture. But the marriage is not really based on that ceremony. The marriage is based on the condition of our heart. So you already have the condition of the heart. Now you're married to Srila Prabhupada as your spiritual master. Now you go to someone like Yaśodā and you make this ceremony, make this declaration to the world, declaration to Srila Prabhupada, declaration to the devotees, and everything will be perfect.
Thank you, Ishan Prabhu. Is that good, Chaitanya Prabhu?
Yes, thank you very much for the answer. Just maybe one side question could be, what should I tell Radhanath Swami that I'm no longer following him, or what should I do in that regard?
I think Yaśodā is the best man to advise you in this way. I think that Radhanath, he will also tell you that Srila Prabhupada is his spiritual master. And according to his impeccable integrity, he will tell you that actually Srila Prabhupada is the only one who can connect you to Krishna, and his position as Radhanath is to encourage you in that way. I think he will say that.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So right now we don't have any other questions. So I would like to ask Ishan Prabhu, if you could please share with us one of your experiences with Srila Prabhupada, either in England or anywhere else.
Okay. I'll give you I'm already embarrassed, so I'll give you more to be. I was going in England to give Srila Prabhupada massage, and he was in an apartment, so I would go in the subway. Maybe I've told this story before, but I hope not. But I was in the subway. I'm 25 years old. Of course, that was some 50-odd years ago. I'm still a little boy, but my body's older. But I'm seeing in the subway, oh, such pretty girls. They're talking and laughing and like that. They're not devotees, and my mind is thinking, oh, how nice, how pretty they are. So when I arrive at Srila Prabhupada's apartment to give him a massage, I feel so embarrassed. I think, oh, I've let my mind be diverted in this way. So I'm giving Srila Prabhupada massage, and Srila Prabhupada's very quiet, Srila Prabhupada's sitting on a mat, like soldier. Doesn't go to take a massage for sense gratification. He's playing the part like his body needs stimulation for blood circulation. Hand is like this. Next hand is like this. Like a soldier, he's taking massage. He's pointing here, do this, extending the foot, pointing, pointing at the feet, lotus feet. So, while I'm massaging, Srila Prabhupada says, Haranam, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva, Nasti. That you just chant this Hare Krishna. This process is very strong, very powerful. It can take you to Krishna Loka and then quiet again. Massage continues. Takes about half an hour massage. Then Srila Prabhupada says, he puts out one leg and he points on the inside of Srila Prabhupada's thigh. There's a scar. He says, when I was a little boy, Srila Prabhupada said, my mother had wooden matches in the kitchen. And I was a little boy and I wanted to make this, Srila Prabhupada said, make this scratch, scratch, scratch with the matches. And so he said, when I was alone, I took the matches and I made this scratch and my dhoti caught on fire. Srila Prabhupada's telling. He was just a little boy. He says, but I was very fortunate. There were some men nearby and they put out the fire. But I still have this scar. Show me. Then he was quiet again. Massage going on like that. Sometimes you can hear little sound from Srila Prabhupada. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. So then massage is finished. Oh, no, not yet. Then Srila Prabhupada says, 5 minutes, 10 minutes more. Srila Prabhupada said, when Krishna was a little boy, he was very mischievous. And he always, also, he got into difficulty, he got into trouble. Mother Yaśodā would chastise. The other village women, they would chastise. Yeah. And then Srila Prabhupada said, he also got into trouble, but he always got out because he was Krishna. That Krishna can get into difficulty, make trouble for himself, be naughty, and he will get it. And then Srila Prabhupada stood up, wearing his gamsha, walks to take his bath. And you can hear, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So when I got back to where I'm living in the temple, I write down this, what did Srila Prabhupada say today? And he said that chanting Hare Krishna is very powerful and that one should take this up seriously. And they said, not only that, he said that when he was a little boy, he he also got into mischief with the matches, and he got this scar. He got burned. And that when Krishna was a little boy, he also got into mischief, but he always got out because he's Krishna. So what was Srila Prabhupada saying to me? Srila Prabhupada, who can see everything, past, present, and future. Srila Prabhupada, who could see my mind. Srila Prabhupada, who could understand that I'm looking at girls, young boy looking at girls. He's telling me that I should be always chanting Hare Krishna, and that if I allow my mind to be distracted from this mantra, like a boy playing with matches, I'm playing with fire, and I can get burned. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada showing me the scar on his wound, on his leg. He's saying, Krishna will get into trouble, he'll get out, but you may get burned. And so you try and take this advice seriously in this very, very soft way. Srila Prabhupada is teaching me, teaching all of us in response to our tendency to let our minds wander, that we should not get burned, that by chanting Hare Krishna and being Krishna consciousness. This is what it means to have a pure devotee as a spiritual master who knows everything, who can see everything, and who can address our every need at the right time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for sharing that wonderful incident.
You know, just one thing. I was in Denmark. My Prabhu is there in Denmark. I was in Denmark. I went from London to Denmark. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada said during one massage. You also can open a temple, he said. I said, me? He said, yes. I said, where should I go? He said, wherever there's people, you can go. I said, when should I go? He said, whenever you're ready, you can go. So, so from London, I went to Denmark, and I met one. There was one hippie there. I don't remember his non-devotee name, but he took me into his house. House was painted black, floors black, walls black, ceiling black. So I was living with him. He was allowing me, and we were reading Srila Prabhupada's Delhi edition of Srimad Bhagavatam. I had brought with me, and we painted the whole house white. Floor white, walls white, ceiling white, and then he went. One day I went out to distribute on the street. They're walking street in Denmark. My Prabhu will know. Distributing back to Godhead and chanting on the street alone. So, because there were no... Police came, put me in the wagon and take me to the jail. And then they put me on a plane to go out of the country. I was disturbing the business. People were becoming distracted, the tourists, from purchasing from the vendors on the walking street, so they complained and police removed the removal department. So I never went back to this person's apartment. So what did he do? He got on a plane and went to India, and he met Srila Prabhupada. He became Pancha Dravida Maharaj. And a year or so ago, Pancha Dravida, he called me on the telephone just to talk, to say hello. So we should always try to do some little service like that. We never know how it will affect the person that we give a book to like that. Srila Prabhupada's literature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you
for sharing that.
We're getting close, and I wanted to get to a couple of devotees, but Chaitanya Prabhu has one more comment. If you could please briefly make your comment or question.
Prabhuji, my wife and I, we have a farm community here in Denmark. So you can still come here and you can open the temple. We already have Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra, and temple room, and plenty of room for both you and your wife.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for that. I wanted to get to two more devotees, but I also wanted to announce, I've added, if the devotees have noticed, when you get the email invitation for the class, I've added a Pearl question for everyone to try to make it more interactive or something that you remember from each class. So this week's Pearl question was, from which part of the Lord's deity form, known as Archa Vigraha, in the temple, which the temple, by the way, can be in your own home also, which part of the deity form should we start seeing the deity from? And I invite you to please press the raise hand icon, and I'll call on you as I see the hands being raised. But at this time, I'd also like to ask, we are blessed that we have another senior disciple, very wonderful Mataji named Ruchisha Devi Dasi from Montreal. And I would like to ask her to share her realizations or give us some words of encouragement or whatever you would like to say at this time.
Yes, I would say that the most important thing for me, for my advancement in spiritual life, is association with devotees. And sometimes we don't give that importance to it, but by having those associations once a week now, I see a complete difference. For me is the most important thing after chanting Hare Krishna, is to have association with devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you for your association every week.
Hare Krishna.
At this time, I'd like to ask Krishna Katha Prabhu in San Diego if you would like to say a few words. Krishna Katha Prabhu, are you there? If you can please.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I'm at work, so it's not so practical for me to speak, but everything so far is just such nectar. You're handling the hosting, Ram Raghava Prabhu, so beautifully, and with such a kind heart, like Ishan is talking about. And it's true. I just recently had nearly a full day association with one of our Matajis that is part of our Hare Krishna Society. She was visiting for some conference. And the entire time I was thinking, this is the soft and kind, gentle heart that I am attempting to achieve. She already had it, like Ishan was saying. So there is so much that we can take and follow the example of our mothers, right? There's 8 different mothers, I think. And so when I was brahmachari in Los Angeles, at one point, it didn't last for so long because this is the material world and there's pushings and pullings, but I was literally seeing every female as my mother. I know this to be true. Krishna in my heart was helping me. And it, lasted for some years. This is the proper mindset of a brahmachari. And, of course, I'm still getting back to that. But the point, though, is purification of our heart, it has to be there. if we have any contamination in our heart, we won't reach the final goal of Krishna Prema. It's not possible. So thank you, Ishan, for making such a wonderful explanation, and your pastime with Srila Prabhupada, being able to read your mind and understand what you had just experienced and giving you the proper instruction to get past that and move on and advance and always be remembering Krishna through his holy names. This Maha Mantra is our protection layer. It's our savior. It's Krishna himself, non-different. So I can't really speak much more. Like I said, I'm working, but thank you so much for calling on me, Ram. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, our Patita Pavana eternally. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Krishna Katha Prabhu. We may have time for one or two more. If Radha Rani would like to say anything, please feel free. And also, I saw Mother Andabhaya was here before, but she's not there now. But her good husband, Jiva Gosvāmī Prabhu, is here. Either of you, if you would like to say anything, please feel welcome.
If no one takes it, I'll grab it.
Okay,
We have about
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
1 minute.
Okay.
Srila Prabhupada makes the point repeatedly that Krishna agrees to come and be in the Archa Vigraha. And if we relate to the form of Krishna on the altar as stone or wood, it will remain stone or wood. And as much as we relate to Krishna like he's here in my house, in the temple, Krishna's before me, as much as I embrace that understanding, to that degree, Krishna will reveal his presence to us. And it's all our choice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Would anybody like to give the answer to that pearl of the week? Which part of the deity form should we start looking at first?
The lotus feet.
Jai, thank you, Krishna Katha Prabhu. Also, Mother Subhangi answered lotus feet too, so thank you for that. At this time, I'll go ahead and get to the prayers to the Vaishnavas. And after that, Ishan Prabhu can please make any announcements. And then we'll go to the bhajan. So give me just a second here. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Go ahead, Ishan Prabhu, you can make any announcements for...
I'm not... What announcements would you have in mind, Prabhu?
If there's any event coming up, I think
Yaśodā-nandana
Prabhu
wanted us to say something about the offering.
If more people could turn in their Vyasa offering. And it can be as little as one sentence thanking Srila Prabhupada, offering obeisances, or it could be your heartfelt prayers or heartfelt realizations or anything you want to say in gratitude to Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhu, perhaps you should take what they have in a Native American, they call it a walking stick. You pass the stick, and the one who's holding the stick, can I pass the stick to you? And you make whatever announcements you feel appropriate, because I've spoken so much already.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. So basically, I said everything. Please submit your offerings to either me or Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu or Rupa Goswami Prabhu, and we'll put it in the Vyasa Puja book. And thank you, everyone, again. Thank you very much for participating in another class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, Daily Edition Srimad Bhagavatam.
Only to say that I have these.
Also, Krishna Katha Prabhu has this announcement about the 3-volume set of Srimad Bhagavatam, which you can see on the website.
Yes, here. Everybody should have a set of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just to read in the way exactly Srila Prabhupada would speak.
Jai.
It's so, you feel like you're right with Srila Prabhupada, and you are, and we are, just touching these books that Srila Prabhupada brought with him. Everyone, and they're available. And Rama Raghava or Krishna Katha Prabhu, they can tell you exactly how you can procure these books.
Go ahead, Krishna Katha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, so I am Krishna Katha Das at Gmail. Krishna is KRSNA, and then Katha, KATHA, Das, DASA, at Gmail, and also Yaśodā 1008 at yahoo.com. And then you can also go to Hare Krishna Society website.org, Hare Krishna Society.org, right on the main landing front page. You click the link and give a donation, and it will automatically send an alert to Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu and my lowly self, and we will get your 3-volume set Srimad Bhagavatam, rare treasure, must have in your library, in the mail, and receive shortly thereafter. So thank you for letting me make that announcement. Yaśodā was asking, so Krishna allowed that desire to be fulfilled, as always. Hare Krishna.
So Hare Krishna, all Prabhus and Matajis, thank you very much for attending. We hope you have a very nice week and hope to see you next Sunday. Now we're going to play the Kirtan with Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,